Hey everybody, it's Jedi coming to you from the thriving metropolis of Rochester, New York. Down here in my basement, it's chilly. It's wintertime. It's about 48 degrees down here. So I got my smart wool hat on and I put on a different fleece jacket just so you don't think I wear the same thing all day, every day. So you might be wondering, my trail name, Jedi, how did I get that? A few reasons. Three main reasons, okay? I was a huge Star Wars, number one, I was a huge Star Wars fan as a kid. In fact, that movie kind of changed the trajectory of my life. It made me interested in filmmaking, and that's why I went to film school. That was my undergrad degree, was cinema and photography. I since went on to get a master's degree in information technology, and I work as an analyst. I've done data analysis and business analysis since then. In any event, I was a huge Star Wars fan. It literally, I had grown up watching just Disney movies, and then I saw Star Wars at like the perfect age, that it just was like that watershed moment in my life. I'd never seen anything like it. It was just mind-boggling for a kid that age to see something like that that was just so different than anything I'd ever seen. It was unreal. It was like, I felt like Neo waking up from the Matrix, that look of astonishment, like, oh my gosh, that's what it was like for me. So that's number one, huge Star Wars fan. I was in a fan club, and I collected a lot of Star Wars stuff as a kid. Every Christmas, every birthday, I had to have Star Wars stuff, which leads me to reason number two. All that stuff I collected, the Star Wars stuff I collected, I sold a lot of it on eBay. At least I sold all of my Kenner action figures that were still in the original packaging, those cardboard backers with the plastic bubble and the little 2 3/4 inch action figure inside. I had about 30 of those that had never been opened. Sold those on eBay. I have probably another 60, 70 of them that had been opened that I played with and arranged in little dioramas and things. Those I'm sending away to be graded and put into acrylic cases and given a grade, and then I'm selling those on eBay. I've sold one batch already. Any event, the reason that's important is because a lot of that money that I've made on eBay selling my old Star Wars stuff, I used to buy my camping gear and to fund my Appalachian Trail trip. So there's another Star Wars tie-in. So I was a huge fan, collector of the stuff, and then sold a lot of it in order to be able to do this other thing I love to do, which is backpack. And the third reason is because I actually worked on the trailer for the first Star Wars movie, the episode 1, that is the Phantom Menace, not the one that came out in the 70s, the Phantom Menace episode 1. Kind of a roundabout story there. I'll try to keep it brief. I went to film school, as I mentioned, and after film school, my fellow film school friends and we all moved out to Los Angeles. And a couple of my friends became editors. I hated editing. I was more of the writer and director type, and once I had shot the film, I didn't want to bother with the editing. To me, it was like already done. I saw it in my head. I'm like, oh, this is just drudgery of assembling it. It's just putting it together. I didn't want to do that. So, but one of my friends became a very well-respected trailer editor. He did trailers for like Twister. I think he did Jurassic Park. He did. I can't even remember all the films he did, but he did some big movie trailers. And one day, George Lucas saw his work and liked it and needed someone to cut a trailer for the first Star Wars episode. This is, of course, in the late 90s. Now, George contacted this editing firm where my friend worked, and the deal was you had to move up to Skywalker Ranch for months, I guess, right? And most people didn't want to do that. They didn't want to, leave their wife or spouse. They didn't, or their kids. They had a house in L.A. Well, my friend, he was not married, didn't have any pets. He did have a house, but he agreed to do it. He thought, he, like me, a huge Star Wars fan, like, oh my God, are you kidding? How could I say no to that? So he did. He moved up to Skywalker Ranch and was up there for months working on the Phantom Menace trailer. So how did I get involved? Well, my friend knew that I was a writer, struggling writer, was writing screenplays, and I had done a little bit of work on trailers for his company and another friend of mine who also cuts trailers at a different company, writing the copy, on the poster. I only ever really had one poster where they used my copy, and that was a movie called The Relic. If you've ever seen that movie, I think Tom Sizemore was in it. It's terrible. Peter Hyams directed it. It was a stupid monster movie about I don't even know. It was like a ancient creature in a box in a museum, and then somebody opens it, and this creature comes alive, and I don't know if there's a curse or something, and it goes around killing people in the museum. In any event, if you ever see that movie poster, it says on the top, "The next evolution in terror." Well, that was my line. Okay, I wrote that, and they used it. I did a lot of other writing for other movie posters, but they never used my stuff that I'm aware of on any other movies. So anyway, so that's important because one day my friend from film school, who's now at Skywalker Ranch, calls me. Now this is the late '90s, so email is just it's around, but it's not like that's all people communicate. There are no cell phones at this point, right? So if you're gonna shoot email, you got to go to your computer and check to see if you got any emails. So, and my friend was not a real techie kind of guy like me, so I was using email at the time, but he wasn't really using it. And so he calls me from Skywalker Ranch. He says, "Hey, Paul, are you interested in writing some copy?" And I said, for you? Like for the Star Wars movie? He goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "You don't have to ask me twice. What, are you kidding?" Of course. What? Oh my God, are you kidding? I was like, "That's a dream come true." And he says, "Well, here's the deal. I can't pay you. And in fact, you can't even tell anybody you're working on this." He goes, "Because I can't tell them that I'm having someone outside the bubble up here working on this trailer because it's all top secret." He goes, "I can't even tell you a lot of stuff about the movie." He goes, "But I need some copy." And I'm like, "Well, how am I supposed to write copy for something I don't even know?" I mean, I know it's the Star Wars canon, if you will, but I don't know anything about this first movie, so can you tell me anything? He's like, I can't, well, very vague. Like, well, it's about Anakin, okay, Anakin, his childhood, him growing up, and young, Obi-Wan is young in it, and okay, so it's kind of the backstory, and he didn't really tell me anything I didn't already know, just through the media. So I was like, "Tell me what you want." So he says, "Okay, here's the deal." He says, George Lucas has this idea that the trailer's going to start and there's going to be 3 title cards. Every blank has a blank. Every blank has a blank. Every saga has a beginning. So that was what he wanted. He wanted 3 title cards on 3 separate shots in the opening of the trailer. Every blank has a blank. Every blank has a blank. Every saga has a beginning. So I basically only had to come up with four words. The 4 blanks. Every blank has a blank. Every blank has a blank. Every saga has a beginning. So if I had to come up with 4 words, that was the hardest 4 words I ever came up with, because I spent, we went back and forth on the phone for 2 or 3 weeks, I want to say. And I would go off and I would come up with ideas. I'd think about Star Wars, and I'd think about, what kind of sums up Star Wars. And if you've seen the trailer, and I know you have, and it's still out there on YouTube, but you remember the trailer fades up. It's in the desert, and you see this kind of sleek, modern ship out there in the shimmering desert, and you can tell it's some kind of futuristic thing. And then you see some creature going through the mist, I think, and then you see a title card that fades in. Every generation has a legend. That was my line. And then the next line, every journey has a first step. That was my line too. The funny thing is, we didn't like that as the second line. We felt it was too similar to every saga has a beginning. Okay, a saga, a journey, a beginning, first step. And also it kind of bumped. Every generation has a legend, has a kind of a rhythm to it. Every journey has a first step. That first step kind of bumps. There's a lot of thought that goes into advertising like that. And you want things to kind of to flow. And that just bumped for us. And, I came up with it, and I said, every journey has a first step. That it's kind of obvious, and it's very similar to every saga has a beginning, journey, first step. They're kind of similar, and it bumps. And we tried to avoid it. We tried to stay away from it. I had some other lines, like every culture has a myth, but we didn't like myth because it's not a myth, to imply that the Jedis are a myth or that the Force is a myth or something. We thought that didn't leave the right impression. I can't even remember some of the other lines we came up with, but we tossed a lot of stuff back and forth over those weeks. And finally, my friend's like, okay, I'm going to go off and I'm going to cut the trailer. Oh, I remember one other funny thing that you might get a kick out of. So I told my friend, I said, listen, whatever you do, don't put, you know how his stuff always says Lucasfilm at the beginning. I said, don't do that, because then everyone will know, oh, this is going to be the Star Wars trailer. I said, just start it out with just the shot, whatever shot you're going to start with, and the title cards, and get the audience, what is this about, and kind of pique their interest. And then all of a sudden, Lucasfilm comes up, or even better, bam, 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 the Star Wars pops on screen. I said, and everyone will flip out and jump out of their chairs, because people have been waiting, it was like 15, 16 years for this movie to come out. So my friend's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So he was all for it. So he cuts the trailer, and I heard when he was going to show it to George, and so he calls me after he'd shown it to George Lucas, and he goes, and I said, what happened? What did George say? He goes, I'm at the editing machine, and George comes in and sits down next to me. He says, okay, show me what you got. He goes, so I start to play it. He goes, the first shot comes up, and the first thing George says is, where's my logo? George wanted his logo at the front, and I was like, no! So my friend had to go back and redo it and put his logo at the front, which I guess in the end was okay, because everyone knew that trailer was going to be at the theater that day. They knew what movie it was going to be in front of, so it wouldn't have really been a surprise when they saw the stuff. They knew they were going to know before the Star Wars or the Lucasfilm came up that's what they were seeing. So we lost the element of surprise on them anyway. So it was okay. But anyway, so that's why I'm Jedi on the trail now. Is a huge Star Wars fan, collected a lot of Star Wars stuff, used that Star Wars stuff to help fund my camping gear and fund my Appalachian Trail through hike. And I wrote the opening 2 lines on the Phantom Menace trailer. So go check it out on YouTube. Look for Phantom Menace trailer, and it's the first one, the original one, where it starts out with that shot in the desert with the that spaceship. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I got to go to Skywalker Ranch. I got to stay up there overnight when my friend was up there, and it was one of the coolest things ever, I gotta say. We got a little tour of a couple of the buildings. We saw the house where George will live when he's at the ranch. We got to ride the little Lucasfilm Skywalker Ranch bicycles around. It was one of the coolest. Oh, and I got to put on a stormtrooper helmet. I got a picture of myself somewhere with a stormtrooper helmet. So anyway, that's my involvement. My contribution to the Star Wars canon is the first 2 lines of the Phantom Menace first trailer that came out. Every generation has a legend. Every journey has a first step. And then George's line, every saga has a beginning. So that's it. That's how I'm Jedi. Okay, interesting story, right? I think it's kind of cool. So anyway, if you see me out there on the trail, now you'll know why I'm called Jedi. All right, talk to you later. Bye.